What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I heard you.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Let's see.
We can hear you,
See,
sir.
How are you? Let
uh,
me see.
I'm
I'm in my
fine.
new apartment. Is that
Yeah,
okay? Yeah, that's okay.
It's okay.
yes, it's
All
okay.
right. Uh, oh,
Let me introduce ourselves first, sir. My name is Ahmad from Indonesia, and also my friend.
my name is Adam.
Yes.
Yes,
Hello. Ahmed and Adam, right?
Yeah,
right.
right.
We're from Indonesia.
That's very good.
Yes. We both from same university.
He's my
And
classmate.
what city are you in?
What's you know? What's the
Uh,
name?
AIN.
It's called IAIN.
IAIN. Kudus.
What's the name
University.
of the city? Where are you now?
It's like Win, sir. Do you know Win, sir?
Of course you don't know.
UUIN.
It's like
What's the name of your city?
OCD. OCD. We are from Kutus
Kudus City.
Where?
Kudus City.
in Japanese.
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 In where? Tell me the name one more time.
Kudus.
Where? Okay, yeah.
KUDUS.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
What else?
Alright. There is our assignment is to talk about anything. Uh,
All right.
I know. I wanna ask you how to say hello in Mexico. How do you in Mexico now, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Do you speak Mexican or Spanish? What's the language of Mexico?
Because there's no language called Mexican.
Oh,
So
okay.
the official language is Spanish, and most people
Spanish.
speak Spanish.
Okay, alright.
Okay.
Terus, what
Oh
else?
yeah.
Yeah. How do you say hello in
Yeah.
Spanish?
Wait.
So how do you say hello in Spanish? Like, is it hola?
It, it, it's similar to English, hola,
Hola.
Hola.
So it's reverse.
Hola.
Hello, hola.
but you spell it with an Hola, but you do not say the H. So you say hola,
Hola.
but the spelling is Hola.
Oh, so it's silent H. Okay, alright.
Spelling H, yes. Uh-huh.
What do you want to ask more?
Open here. I wanna ask, how about in your country, your culture, apa ya? The best, apa ya? Kayak sesuatu yang menjadi culture di Meksiko. Apa?
Sorry, sir, we still learn English. So
That's okay. That's
question us.
not a problem. No problem.
Alright. Pilih, what do you ask? Ini tanya apa?
Culture in Mexico.
So what's the culture in Mexico? Like,
Well, that's a big question. But right now, just 1 hour ago, I came to a state called Oaxaca. And Oaxaca is famous because there are many people here who they speak Spanish, but they also speak other languages at home. So this is the second most important state, maybe, in Mexico for speaking languages other than Spanish. So lots of people here speak. In the past, they said Indian languages, but now they usually say indigenous languages. Do you know that word, indigenous?
indigenous is apa?
You know the word indigenous?
Local. Is it local language?
Local language.
Yeah, it's like local. It's like people, indigenous means people who were born here, or people who lived here for thousands of years. So there are many different indigenous languages. There are 61 official indigenous languages in Mexico,
That's a lot.
and many of them are here in Oaxaca. I don't know how many, maybe 20, maybe 10 or 20. So there's many different languages here in Oaxaca.
Wow.
The most common in this city is Zapoteco. That's the most common in the capital city, but in other places, especially in villages or in the mountains, people speak other indigenous languages. When I was first here in the 1990s, maybe 20% of people in Mexico did not know Spanish. But now, because of more education and younger people, maybe only 2% of people don't know Spanish. So now almost everybody knows Spanish. But maybe 10% or 12% in the country also know another language. And in this state, it's more. I don't know how much, but maybe in this state, maybe half the people know an indigenous language. But sadly, for many younger people, they don't learn it. My taxi driver told me that he never learned, he's probably 25, 30 years old. He never learned his indigenous language. His parents speak it, his grandparents speak it, but even though he was raised in a village or small city, sadly, he never learned the language. So that means in his family, that language has died because he did not learn it, his wife did not learn it, their children are not going to learn it. So sadly, other people can, but that means that that language is now dead for his family and also in his village or his city where he is from. He said that nobody, even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, no young people learned the language. It was only people that are older, 40 years and older now, which is very sad. So, but that's something that makes this state very interesting because there are many different languages here and there are many different villages with different types of culture and art. And in the center or near the center of the city, just 5 kilometers away, there's a very famous ancient city that is more than 1,000 years old, almost 2,000 years old. So I will definitely go there and see it many times. So those are some of the cultural things for this city and for this state.
Oh, that's a shame. So, gini,
It is, yeah, it's sad.
younger generation. Okay, that's interesting fact, sir.
Yes, that's so interesting to us.
Yang kepikiran kayak gini nggak sih?
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, you know,
Suatu banyak. That's
Oh.
bagus.
maybe I'll tell about something in Indonesia that actually younger in Indonesia like to speak another language also, but yeah, we still apa kesulitan.
It's still difficult to
Yeah, difficult to speak
people.
another language.
Yeah, because
So which language is your first language? Javanese, Sundanese, Madurese, which one is your first language?
so our first language is of course Indonesian because that's
No, that's not, there's no, of course. Most people in Indonesia do not speak Indonesian as their first language. Most people in Java speak Javanese or Sundanese or Madurese as their first language. So, what's your first language?
yeah of course Japanese. We are from
Java,
Java.
because yes, our mother.
Yeah, no, but of course, because in Java there are four main first languages: Javanese, Sundanese, and Madurese. And in Jakarta, lots of people speak Indonesian as their first language. So that's why I asked you. So your first language is Javanese.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
When was the last time you read a book in Javanese?
Huh? What?
Yeah. For in
Did you ever read a book in Javanese?
Read book. Yes, we have,
Yes.
of course.
Oh, of course.
Of
Well,
course.
tell me, when was the last time you read a book in Javanese?
Maybe. Actually, I rarely read books. Yeah,
Jarang.
And how about Ahmed, when was the last time you read a book in Javanese?
maybe long time ago.
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
All right. And then next question. When was the last time you read anything in Javanese? Newspaper, internet site, thing? When was the last time you read something, anything in Javanese?
Oh, we use Japanese.
We
Every
use
day.
Japanese as our daily, but
Yes,
we
daily.
rarely read anything in Japanese. Mostly Indonesian or English.
So maybe more than 1 year ago, more than 5 years ago, maybe.
Could be, yes.
The last time. So usually you never read anything in Javanese, not online, no.
No, there's
No
rare-
online. What about when you send text messages to your friends? You write in Indonesian or do you write in Javanese?
Both of them.
Both of them.
Yes.
We
And,
use
al-
both language.
and also English usually.
We mix our language.
When was the last time you spoke in Javanese?
I just spoke to him in Japanese.
So,
Yeah.
so that's one thing that makes, for like Javanese, even though unfortunately and sadly many people don't use Javanese for reading or writing,
Yes.
even though
sadly.
people have written it for more than 1,000 years, 1,500, people have written Javanese for centuries and centuries. But as a spoken language, it's still very strong in Indonesia.
Yeah.
But the difference in Mexico is that even though Zapoteco is still a spoken language, and in some ways it's strong, but every decade the places where people speak it become smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
50 years ago in the city, if you walked on the streets, you would hear many people speaking in Zapoteco and also Spanish. But now you will almost never hear, some of the waiters, they might talk together for friends. That was true in 1990, but maybe not now. And in many of the villages, people do not use it for reading or writing, and many of the younger people don't use it for speaking. There are some villages where people still use it, but sadly, every decade, the places where young people use it is getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, so
The
sad.
number of
So sad to
speakers
hear.
is still increasing because population is increasing. But the number of places where it's spoken is getting smaller and smaller. And for me, that worries me because that's a very bad prediction for the future. That very strongly suggests that in 50 years it may disappear because it is disappearing gradually. But the Javanese is a little bit different. I wish in Indonesia, in addition to using Indonesian, that people would also use the different languages, Javanese, Balinese, Madurese, all of these. I wish people would use those as well for writing and reading, but that isn't the case. It's still most Indonesian languages, Javanese, Balinese, are still very strong for spoken. People speak them at home. Sometimes they speak them in school. But Jakarta, though, is a good example where many people in Jakarta don't speak Javanese anymore. You know that.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
They speak
yeah.
Indonesian.
Yeah.
Mostly.
They only speak Indonesian. They never learned to speak Javanese, even though 100 years ago everybody spoke Javanese inside. So these are things when you think about what it says. It's good that people learn different languages, but it's sad if you think 50 years or 100 years in the future. Javanese probably no, because there are 100 million people who speak Javanese, but for many other languages,
That's a lot.
they might be replaced.
Whoa,
So
it's so.
that's so true.
Yes. Sorry, sir. How can you know so many things about
Indonesian.
Indonesian? Do you ever live in
Well-
Indonesian?
Have you ever?
I was in Indonesia for 2 months in 2011. But before that, 20 years before that, in 1991, I thought I was going to Indonesia, and I did a lot of reading about Indonesia in 1991. And I did not go. My plans changed. So in 1991, I read, I don't know, 10 books, 20 books, many books about Indonesia. And then in 2011, I was in Indonesia for 2 months.
So that, of course, he knows.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
So interesting to hear it.
Oh, okay.
So. Apa ya?
Apa? What?
Wait, sir. Oh no.
Oh, sekarang. Oh, tak takon no.
Yeah, okay.
Ayo apa?
Back to Mexico.
Hmm?
Apa hal yang menarik di sana kayak makanan,
Oh.
destinasi?
So what's the apa? The cuisine in Mexico? Like, is there?
It's not my favorite, to be honest. I like food from many other places more. The joke is everything is a tortilla. Tortilla is flat bread, flat round bread, which is
Yes.
good, but it's flat round means that they're like it's like a roti from Malaysia, sort of like that,
Roti.
and beans and meat
Yeah.
and and then you put sauce on top of it. So people think that Mexican food is very spicy. Mexican food is not spicy. The Mexican sauce you put on top can be spicy. But Mexican food itself is not very spicy. So for me, there's many kinds of Mexican food, and my friends in the United States sometimes get angry when I say this. But for me, Mexican food is a little bit boring. It's like snacks. Some food is a little bit better, but it's a little bit like American food. It's too much meat and too much starch, too much bread,
Yes.
not enough spice.
Boring.
So for me, I like Indian food or Southeast Asian food or Chinese food or Korean food or Peruvian food much, much more. So, but people, when I tell them that I usually don't tell Mexicans this, but if I tell other people, they think, oh, maybe you only like American food. I said, no, that's not true. I like many kinds of food. But for me, Mexican food, it's tasty as a snack. So beans and some meat and a little sauce and some bread. Sometimes the bread is fried, sometimes not fried, sometimes the meat is chicken or pork or beef, but it's all kind of the same. It's very, it's very, very similar. What I like better are the fresh fruits because it's a tropical country. So with the fresh fruits, like Indonesia, there's a lot of variety. So that I like more. But the regular food in restaurants, it's okay, but it's not exciting for me.
Oh,
Yeah. So in Indonesia, there's a lot of variety like fish, maybe chicken or beef, like that.
Yeah.
But
But I liked Indonesian food more. But usually in Indonesia, I would go to Padang style restaurant. You know Padang style.
Padang, oh yeah,
Padang, oh yeah,
from Sumatra.
And
Yeah.
the reason I like that is because you can take a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one, a little bit of this one, a little bit.
Yeah.
You can get many different things.
And custom.
So that's what I really liked about Padang food.
It
Um,
also,
and it was also spicy.
Yeah.
It was spicy, and you could choose many different things.
Yeah. Padang
Yes.
is also our favorite.
Our favorite.
When we lunch, we have lunch in with Padang also. Yeah. Pretty.
And it looks so pretty when you see Padang restaurant from outside with all of the white plates in the window.
Yeah.
It looks very pretty.
Yeah. There's apa? Padang apa jenisnya? Apa sih?
Oh aja.
Kayak glasses itu. Apa? Bahasa Indonesia.
Oh. uh, and also, you know that when we eat Padang food, we have to eat with hand.
With hand instead of
Yes. Are you
Spoon.
eat with just hand or use another?
apa? Like utilities.
Yes.
I forgot that. But I lived in India for 5 years and in Bangladesh for 2 years. So in India and Bangladesh, people eat with their hands.
Yeah.
So that was easy for me. But I forgot that Padang food, maybe, I don't know if I ate with my hand or maybe they gave me a spoon. I honestly cannot remember.
Yes.
So actually, it's better with hand
Yes,
instead of
because-
spoon. The feeling is different. Yeah.
Use hand directly.
My guess is if I saw other people eating with their hand, I did the same thing. But that's interesting you mention it. I don't remember at all. I don't remember how I ate it. But I remember always liking going to a Padang restaurant and also the way it looked and everything. I really enjoyed that. But I can't remember how I ate it. But I thought the Padang food I thought was very delicious. And Indonesian food in general I liked.
Okay.
Even though I was only there for 2 months, I was in Vietnam longer. I was in Vietnam for 10 months and in Cambodia for 3 months or 4 months. And I really like both Vietnamese food and Cambodian food too.
Mostly we are the same. We have the same food cuisine. Mostly the style is the
Quite
same.
similar, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think in Vietnam and in Cambodia, they use more like lemongrass. I don't know if you know what that is,
Lemongrass.
but a little more citrus flavor,
And salty.
like lemon and orange. But all of the Southeast Asian foods I really like.
Wow.
Well,
Lagi apa nih?
apa nih ya? So you are like to traveling and mencoba ya, try
Try.
to
Try.
the food in the country.
Yeah. And I'm traveling slowly. For example, I came to Oaxaca today, but I will be here for 4 weeks. So I did not want to keep moving. I just wanted to stay in one place. Because if you do travel for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you can move every 2 or 3 days. It's okay. But if you do this a long time, it gets boring. So basically, I have not had a house or apartment since July last year. So that's almost 10 months now.
This is the
So after moving for 10 months,
document.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to stay in one place for 1 month with the kitchen and do my own cooking. So that's what I will be doing here. I was in Mexico City for about 10 days. After 1 month here, I will travel, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and I will go this place 3 or 4 days, that place 3 or 4 days, and then I will go back to Mexico City for maybe 1 month, and then I'll return to the United States for maybe 2 months, and after that, I don't know. I don't know what to do. But travel again. I won't stay in the United States. I will go travel someplace.
Where do you wanna go
But
next?
travel. Say again.
Where do you wanna go next? Where's your destination next?
I think it's hard. I don't know. My maybe three big choices. I won't come back to Mexico right away because you can only be here 6 months in 1 year with a tourist visa. So already, soon I will finish my 6 months. So I cannot come back unless I change my visa to residency visa, and that's easy to do, but I probably won't. So, but my first choice might be travel some other places in Latin America. Maybe go to Brazil, maybe go to Argentina, maybe go to Colombia. That's one. Another one, though, is maybe to return to Southeast Asia. But if I go, it will be the same thing. Staying in one place for 1 month or 2 months, not moving. For me, that's too hard to do. So, and the good thing is Cambodia is easy. If you're a foreigner, it's very easy to get 1 year visa for Cambodia. So that's one nice thing about going to Cambodia. You can get a 1 year visa, and then I can stay in Cambodia. Maybe go to Thailand for a month. Maybe go to Indonesia for a month, but come back to Cambodia. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I will do. I will decide in September or in October where I will go.
So, yeah, interesting.
So interesting. Actually, we also like to traveling, but we still don't have
So cool.
Too young.
to go.
Yeah, it's hard to do when you're young.
Yeah, because
Too young.
we're
Because
too
there's
young.
no money.
Yeah, we can go like abroad. Like we have to
Yes.
stay. We still have to stay in Indonesia. Like we can go anywhere.
Yeah,
Can create.
that's usually true for young people.
Yeah.
Many years ago, somebody told me you need three things to travel well. You need time, money, and health.
Yes, yes.
And many people, some people never have any of them. Some people only have one. But the problem is when you're young, in some ways you have time, and you have health, but you don't have money.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Then when you're,
So true.
when you're 30 or 40, you're making more money, but you don't have time because
Yes.
you're busy, you're married, you're children.
Yeah.
And then when you're finally older, maybe you have money, and if you retire, you have time.
Yeah.
But then many times you don't have health. It's difficult to get time, money, and health all at the same time.
Yeah. So we have to use our time. Okay.
Yeah. We still learning.
Yeah. Still learning in university.
The best thing is to start close to home. Travel cheaply,
Yeah.
travel in your own country,
Yeah.
Yeah.
stay with your friends, cheaper. That's the best way to start.
Yes. That's exactly.
We will.
Traveling around city. Kan only diri. Oke. Oke bisa main ya apa? Kenapa?
Maybe do you have a suggestion to like our
Younger people,
like us?
young learner. Maybe you have suggestion.
What kind of suggestions? For language learning?
Yes.
Yes, like teach, what? Learn English
So,
maybe.
Learn English, especially.
Yeah,
practice a lot.
practice a lot. Okay.
Practice.
Practice reading, speaking, listening. Make vocabulary goals. This is what most people don't do. Make a vocabulary goal, 10 words every day.
Yes.
Because if you do 10 words every day, that would be a huge improvement. And it doesn't take very long to learn 10 words every day. And for reading, you need to read things that are not too difficult for you.
Yeah,
If they're too difficult, you won't read them. And that's also true for listening. So for many people, instead of trying to listen to one movie, a 2-hour movie, that's too hard.
yeah,
For many times for language practice, it's better to listen to 2 minutes and listen to it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. For many people, that's better because it gives them a little bit more practice. If they try to listen to a movie, so for example, my Spanish is good, and I can read books very easily, and I can speak very easily, but they had movies on the bus, and I almost never watch movies or TV shows in Spanish, partly because it's boring, partly because it's hard. And even though I could understand some of it, and I could guess the story, but it was hard for me to understand people when they're speaking because people speak fast. It's noisy on the bus. So for many people, trying to watch an entire movie is often not the best way to do it. But you do a lot of practice at your level, do speaking, reading, writing, pronunciation, and have a vocabulary goal of 10 words every day. Learning 10 new words and reviewing some of the words you learned before. Those three things that together will make the best progress.
Oh, wow, okay. That's a good suggestion, sir.
Yes.
That means a lot.
Yeah, reading.
I think there is enough, sir.
Yes.
We still have to. We still have anything. Yeah. We still have something to do.
Okay.
Okay, sir. I think that's enough for us.
Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful.
The
Thank,
great.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for the suggestion and
It's a pleasure working with you.
yeah. Okay.
Very good. Let's say goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you very much and goodbye.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Pleasure. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure to talk to you, boys.
Okay.
Nah, senang banget anjir.